simulcast. Don't let me forget to stop it.
Stop! Don't forget to stop it.
Thanks. Sure, that'll.
Just don't stop it.
That'll stick. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what you've missed in the pre-show. So many trips down memory lane for me.
I loved it. That's like right up my alley.
When I was in high school, I was not part of a local radio station. I should be so lucky, but I was one of the hosts of our like in-circuit high school video bulletin.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a class, so it was like, there was, we rotated. I really enjoyed it, but I had not gotten my tonsils out at that point.
Okay.
So, not to say that my voice is so beautiful now, but it was real bad then. And listening to it, you're just like, oh, what is wrong with this little girl?
That poor woman.
Off the stage.
Take her tonsils out
Hello,
now.
this is Sarah Lane. How are you?
I had a completely different voice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Bob's Burgers?
No.
I immediately thought of the two kids in high school at Bob's, or it's not even high school, I think it's elementary school, who do the video announcements.
Oh yeah, I mean it was the whole school, like the first 2 minutes of second period or 10 minutes or I don't know, whatever, it was like you roll in a like television, all the classrooms watched it, so it was it was a fairly big deal.
That's great.
Did you do announcements, Tom? Did you do announcements?
No, we never did that. None of my schools ever did that.
I did announcements at our school.
We always had the principal doing them for some reason.
In my school, only the principal had it.
We didn't even have a school newspaper. The only thing the journalism class worked on in high school was the yearbook.
I mean, nobody really, there was a teacher, but nobody was really overseeing what we were saying. So like someone would have like a press Democrat and be like, the Bucks beat the Cavs in sports news, and just kind of like, we just sort of pretended to be adults.
Like, boring. Oh, this one's interesting.
Yeah, reading the news or writing the news. That was fun.
We had a weekly newspaper at my high school. I was always impressed that the school could fund
weekly also.
Like it was pretty well. It was nice. It wasn't like Xerox copies. Like they were actually really nice. And I've always was amazed at the school because we were always moaning about the lack of money. And it's like, wait, where's all the money for this coming from?
The press must go on, Roger.
Rob, where did you grow up?
I grew up in northern Minnesota.
Northern Minnesota, okay.
Whereabouts?
Oh, Hibbing.
Oh, okay. Anywhere near Bemidji?
Oh, we were north of Bemidji.
Okay. Wow, even north of Bemidji. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was left north of Bemidji. Wow.
Yeah. So Bemidji was Babe the Blue Ox, and
yeah.
So it was interesting. It was cold. It was cold up there.
Sure it was.
One would think.
And that was the summer.
Yeah. I was gonna say, did you travel down to Chicago and take your shirt off in December? Like, it's so warm.
Chicago was no, that was Minneapolis. So we drove to Minneapolis and took our shirt off.
Speaking of Chicago, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian named their daughter Chicago West.
Well,
they are being sued by the high school of the same name.
It is amusing and disappointing, all wrapped together.
That's just reporting it.
That's the kind of news we like to bring. Amusing and disappointing.
North by North. What if they named their kid that?
Belleville West. Also a high school.
Any jokes, too little time.
Yeah. All right, shall we do this?
Let's do it.
We all ready?
Yeah.
I look like
yes. One minor thing, Rob. You'll notice that occasionally the bar at the top of the rundown might change color. That's just me.
Okay.
Telling you.
No worries.
Yeah, the yellow means we're getting close to needing to move on. The red means whenever you're done saying what you're saying, we go to the next thing.
Gotcha.
And the blue stuff, the stuff in blue text, we don't even stop. We just plow through that stuff. So, all right. Sarah, would you be so kind as to do the honors?
I would.
All right. 3, 2.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, January 19th, 2018 from DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from very cloudy and foggy Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And over there in Cleveland, who are you?
I'm Len Peralta.
Thanks to Matt Aspinall for the chiptunes version of the DTNS theme song today. Very exciting. In honor of our guest, CTO of Nimble Collective, Rob DeMillo.
What? Okay. I'll take it as an honor.
Yeah, it's you get a special custom theme song for your appearance.
I would have danced if I had known what was going on.
Rob's going to talk to us today. He's back on the show. You've seen him before. He's going to talk to us today about those cloud services. Nimble Collective is an example of them, so he knows whereof he speaks. But we've talked about the Shadow Blade, and those services are saying we can give you the high-powered thing in the cloud. All you need on the end is a internet-connected device. I'm going to explain how that works, when it doesn't work, what the limitations are. Our producer, Roger Chang, is here as well. Roger, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. A little dark in the overcasty skies, but good.
Good. Well, then there's nothing left for us to do but start with a few tech things you should know.
A patent filed by LG with the World Intellectual Property Organization describes a, quote, mobile phone with a flexible display which can be folded in half to design show alternate ways of displaying information on the cover when the phone is in fact folded.
U.S. SEC wants answers to 31 detailed questions before approving mutual funds and exchange-traded funds based on Bitcoin futures. And the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission has announced it has filed a federal civil enforcement action against 3 virtual currency trading service operators, Cabbage Tech and Entrepreneurs Headquarters, and one name that's still sealed, face charges of fraud, misrepresentation, misappropriation, and more.
Amazon has added voice to its you-know-who app, starts with an A, ends with an A, for Android, meaning users can speak to the app to have it do things, and Amazon Echo would as well. The update's rolling out to the Google Play Store and is on its way to the iOS App Store, too.
The Italian antitrust authority is investigating allegations that Apple and Samsung conducted, quote, a general commercial policy taking advantage of the lack of certain components to, here's the good part, curb the performance times of their products and induce consumers to buy new versions. This is about slowing down performance to save the battery life. Apple has previously denied it tried to shorten the life of its products. It says it was doing it to extend the life. If found guilty, the two companies could face multi-million euro fines. Now, let's move on to some other top stories. What do we have, Sarah?
Instagram has a new feature that tells folks that you've shared private messages with or folks that you've tagged in your Instagram stories when you were last active on the app. It is turned on by default. Some people don't like this, but there is a fix. If you want to turn it off, you go to your profile page, click the settings gear underneath your name. Next to edit profile, inside the settings menu, there's a toggle for show activity status. Now, this is not a big deal. Instagram is owned by Facebook. I use Facebook Messenger regularly, and often it tells me sort of like when my friends have been active on the internet lately because they've been active in that app. But I think that it depends on the network. When it comes to something like LinkedIn, I hate people knowing, when I've sort of been like perusing other people's profiles. So I wonder how much this matters to most folks.
I think people are probably pretty concerned about it. Instagram being part of Facebook, this was kind of bound to happen. But as you said, it's different. Like when you're messaging, you would like to know if somebody's on, that you can get a hold of them for messaging. When you're kind of walking around a town doing Instagramming,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm also the person who I have read receipts turned on in my messages app for iOS, and I have so many friends who are like, "Why would you do that? It's such a lack of privacy." And it's like, but I don't hate anyone I'm talking to. Like, what do I care if they know that I looked at their message and maybe couldn't respond right away? But I do think the whole turned on by default thing, especially if people don't realize it for a while, is a problem because you want to at least have the chance to make that decision for yourself.
Well, that's the Facebook modus operandi, isn't it? Just turn it on by default until people start squealing and turn it off.
It used to be a lot all the time, right? I feel like Facebook learned from that I don't know what Instagram is up to here. I don't think it's the kind of thing they're going to face serious backlash about. I don't like having anything turned on by default. I don't even mind this so much. I get that in the Instagram world, there are people who are like, I know you were online and you didn't like my photo and now I'm mad at you. Like that actually happens. I'm not worried about that personally, but I still went and turned it off because I was like, nah, I didn't ask for this to be on. I don't want it on. I'll decide what I want to
Given the choice, you're like, no, thank you. You didn't ask me, so I didn't opt in. I have to opt out.
Amazon is raising its price for Amazon Prime. This is not just the video. There's a monthly for the video, but there's also a monthly for the entire service that includes the shipping and the Kindle library and everything. It is now going to be $12.99 a month if you want to pay monthly. It used to be $10.99 a month. Now that ends up being $156 a year, up from the previous $132 a year. But the yearly price isn't changing. Don't mean to confuse you. If you want to pay a year at a time, which used to be your only option, so you may not have realized there was a monthly option, still $99. They haven't raised that one in a while. But if you want the option to be able to cancel at any month, maybe you're not sure how long you're going to need it, or you're just, you can't afford to lay out $99 at once, then it's going to be $12.99.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pushing people to do that yearly option, I suppose.
Yeah, it certainly increases the savings from $32 to $56. That's not nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of these guys where it's like things are expensive. Like it's like the price was going to go up at some point given all the services that they're doing and the fact that they just like subsumed Whole Foods and everything. So cost of doing business.
I also, I pay $99 per year, and I have for a couple of years. I have also, and I've mentioned this on the show before, I don't use Amazon Prime as much as I should, certainly not as much as a lot of my peers do. So this is sort of de-incentivizing anybody who's like, well, let me give it a shot because, on the surface, it just looks like, ooh, $13 a month. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I've got Alexa dots throughout the house, and there is, oops, I'm sorry, everybody. I have the little dot devices throughout the house, and it's seductive to see. There she goes.
He just did it to himself. If that makes anybody feel better,
it's seductive just to say, I need new deodorant, and it shows up at your door the next day. I mean, that's. So I understand how much all that stuff costs. And it's like,
Moving on, OnePlus has been investigating why fraudulent charges were appearing on a small portion of its customers' credit cards. Friday had announced that credit card information of up to 40,000 customers was accessed by a malicious actor between November of last year and now. A script was injected into a server that copied payment information as it was entered into a form. So OnePlus will offer a year of free credit card monitoring to any affected users.
Yeah, and they're trying to be transparent about it, but all they can say is they don't think any other servers were impacted, but they can't say that definitively yet. They are working with law enforcement, and it's just unfortunate for OnePlus because they have some pretty rabid fans, and this isn't the first controversy for them. It's a bit of a string of them with the phone home scandal and the jelly roll scandal, and not scandal, but the bug. And so this is another one of those chinks in the armor where normally you'd say, unfortunate, this does happen to companies though. And yet if you're a OnePlus customer, you may be getting tired of that.
I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I don't know if it changed today or not, but yesterday I had heard that they were only accepting PayPal at this point. Is that true?
Yeah, that was what they did at first when they were trying to figure out what was actually going on, which is, I mean, if you use PayPal, okay, but if you don't, that's really limiting.
Yeah, but I think now that they found the script, they'll probably turn credit cards back on. But before, they knew that with credit card on, it was happening, and with PayPal, it wasn't. So that's why they left PayPal up. And now it makes sense. PayPal, you weren't typing in a form; you were logging into PayPal, so that was separate. And in fact, if you had saved your credit card information with OnePlus, this is one of those flip-flop situations where saving your credit card company with a company was actually safer than typing it in, because typing it in was how they were capturing it. Researchers at Lookout and the Electronic Frontier Foundation spotted a server taking in hundreds of gigabytes of data from infected Android phones as well as Windows machines. The operation is being termed Dark Carousel. Caracal, and affects thousands of users in more than 21 countries. The server has been traced to a building belonging to Lebanese intelligence. Users get fooled into installing malware or typing in their passwords in a fileless version of this attack that uses phishing over Facebook, WhatsApp, and what have you. The malware also shows up looking convincingly like other apps. There are examples of it looking like WhatsApp, examples of it looking like Signal, so it can steal your Signal login. It can take photos from the phone's camera, lift text messages, pull location data, and record audio on Android. And on Windows, it can do all the things malware normally does, which is, privilege escalation attacks and steal your documents and stuff like that.
Yeah, not cool. I mean, so you've stated 2 apps in here that are basically imposter apps, right? So WhatsApp and Signal. Is it appearing anywhere else?
Those are the only ones that I saw mentioned for sure. If you want to worry about it, the thing you need to do is not get your apps anywhere but the authorized store for, the Google Play Store if you're on Android. Because then you won't get these. It's not like they're slipping them into the store. It's not that bad. What they're doing is they're tricking people into clicking on a link and going and installing something from a third party and sideloading it somehow.
Unfortunate.
It's gotten to the point now where every once in a while, Facebook, for example, will send me an email being like, oh, you requested to reset your password. If you didn't do that, click this link and we'll record that. And even then, and I've gotten this a million times because somebody's always trying to hack into my account. I'm like, oh, is it really Facebook? The one time that it's not a Facebook email, even though it looks like Facebook, I'm going to screw myself over. So it's easy to be like, oh, don't click on stuff that seems shady, but we can all be fooled unless you have a blanket. I never do anything this way when it comes from an email that I wasn't expecting.
Well, and even then,
the policy on a lot of these places should be do not send email at all, right? I mean, so Facebook and your bank and everyone else, really, rather than sending email that could be interpreted as a phishing scam, reach out to you through one of any other ways that they've got, one of their applications on the phone or some dropping you a note. It just seems that if you're constantly having to question whether or not every email comes in is actually legitimate, you're going to get hit eventually.
Well, exactly. I mean, I make it a policy that if I get those kind of notices like, oh, somebody was trying to log into your account, I don't click on anything in the email. I go log into my account because there's also an alert in there.
Yes.
And if it's real, then I'll be able to access it from within my account. But even then, sometimes you're tired, you're not thinking straight, and you may end up almost falling for something or falling for something. It's just that's what these things work on the spam principle, which is most of us don't have to fall for them to be successful. It just needs a tiny sliver of a percent.
All right, moving on to Cape Town, South Africa, which is suffering from its 3rd year of the worst drought on record. The city has launched an online water map now revealing water usage for individual properties. So if you're at a location that's staying under the 50 liters per day limit, you have a nice little green dot by your property. Properties over the limit, they're not being, called out necessarily. They just don't have a nice green dot. So the idea is that instead of shaming somebody for overusing water, you are gifting someone a green dot for doing it right.
Doesn't this feel a little dystopian science fiction-y to anybody? Like one step below water rationing, one step below charging people for. Feels a little weird.
Well, people do get charged for water, but
I know. I mean, but you make more money than these people. So
trying to reward a household, a private property, with doing the right thing, taking shorter showers or whatever it is that you're doing to stay under the limit. And clearly, if you live in Cape Town, you know that there is a drought and it is a really big deal. And the shaming thing tends to upset people more. So I don't think this is a wrong approach. I don't know. I mean, not gonna make it rain, but if you have to ration water, what else are they gonna do?
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting approach because first of all, there's different shades of green depending on how far under you are. So they're trying to be all carrot, no stick. Like you're going to get green if you're at the limit, but you'll get a darker green if you do even better. And not every property has a dot, even if it's under the limit. Industrial locations, retail locations, they're not included. So just because you don't see a dot doesn't mean, aha, that must be a person who lives there. You'd have to look closely enough and go, okay, that's a residence. So I get what they're doing. They're trying to say, we're not going to call out anybody. We just want to give you a perk. But I think to go back to what you said, Rob, because it's a big satellite map, they're using the Google Maps satellite map. It feels like Big Brother looking down and saying, aha, you are green and you are green.
It just feels slippery slopey to me. And you even brought it up, right? So large companies and industrial parks are not taking part of this. So what if they're guzzling it down the water?
That's a separate issue. This is an attempt to reach residential customers.
Okay.
But that's a good point. Probably the needle moves more with the industrial customers anyway. So.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if the idea is to get people to just get used to using less water, great. I mean, if you're running out of water, fine.
Yeah.
Maybe, a reduction in whatever bill you're paying for, the utility company would be a better incentive than a green dot. But who knows? Maybe at dinner parties, this is like a right of, something to brag about.
Yeah, and I can't say they haven't tried that already. They are in such a serious problem in Cape Town right now that I think they're willing to try anything. I mean, there's an estimate that by April they might not be able to run the water all the time for people. So this is a pretty serious situation. Hey folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines. You can get it on the Amazon Echo, on the Google Home, in the Anchor app, and as a good old-fashioned podcast, or a good new-fashioned podcast. It'll show up in like modern apps and everything. You can find that link at dailytechheadlines.com. So previously on the show, we have talked about things like the Blade Shadow. I know Patrick Beige is really excited about it. He wants to come on and talk about it in February when it launches. The idea behind that, and the idea behind many other similar products, is a high-powered machine that's really expensive is made available to you over the internet. So you don't have to have it local, but you get the advantage of it. And latency is managed to the point that you don't notice. So you can do gaming, video editing, animation, etc., from a Chromebook, from a tablet. A lot of people don't believe this works, but Patrick, who's tried it out, says, no, it actually really does work. And Rob, your company, Nimble Collective, is making it work. And I know a lot of people are super skeptical about this. How can this possibly work when I can't get my Netflix to stream all the way through a 60-minute episode?
Well, you got Netflix to thank for this, actually, because they've opened up a lot of the gateways to getting faster data pipes to your home and your businesses, as well as the servers that are on some of these cloud networks. But yeah, I am making a living off of doing this, so it definitely does work. I understand the skepticism, especially when you're doing something that is latency tolerant or latency intolerant and requires a lot of heavy computing power.
So what do you have to do? And obviously there's things that you can't talk about as far as, agreements and everything. But generally speaking, what does a company have to do to get that latency down to zero? I mean, you can't just put your server on and plug it into the internet and let it go.
No, you have to work really hard at it. I mean, so let me just back up and explain what Nimble does for folks who aren't aware of it. So what we have done is we have taken the animation pipeline, and an animation pipeline is what a team of animators use to create a film like Coco, right? You start at one end, and there are people that create textures. They're very good with creating textures in Adobe or Krita or some other application, and that moves on to perhaps a rigger, which is the virtual puppeteering that goes on underneath the surface of a model, to the modelers that are creating the modelers, to the manipulating of the models for the animation, to rendering out the film. That whole thing, and I'm leaving out a lot of steps, is called the pipeline. And putting it together is an expensive proposition. Any given animation film or TV show, there is a significant fraction of the budget that is going to setting up and creating that pipeline and throwing a bunch of animators on it.
That's why you see the huge number of names at the end of the movie credits now, right?
Yeah. It's a whole fascinating ecosystem of people that go through this stuff. And so what we've done is we've taken that pipeline, various flavors of applications, and we've pushed it out to the cloud. And it's now possible using our system to do high quality film animation on something as small as a Chromebook. And once you've done something like that, you've tipped the economy of creating animation significantly in the favor of the studios and the animators who are trying to get this all done. So the biggest hurdle is what you just brought up, which is, I don't believe this works, right? And so walking in with working demos to some of the places we've been walking into, it's very gratifying to watch their faces and jaws drop when it does actually work. So we've got our latency down to a point where you can, with a pen on a Chromebook, have latency-free animation, and it feels like you're doing it on a local device.
Now, again, that sounds like magic, and probably the only way to really convince someone is to show it to them, put it in their hands, and make it work. But do you have to do co-location deals? Do you have to do special servers? Like, what's, broadly speaking, as much as you can?
It's actually a number of things. There's a couple of technologies that are in play here. One is the ability to stream an application. So the way that we have done this with off-the-shelf commercial software, without making any modifications, is we're streaming virtual instances of favorite OSs. Windows usually. We can also do Linux machines as well. And so the output from those machines, rather than going to a monitor, are actually going to a virtual pipeline, and that pipeline shows up inside of a Chrome browser, for instance. And so the machine that is running locally believes that it is simply talking to a Chrome session running on the internet, and the machine that is running remotely thinks that it is talking to a display that's just sitting on a computer right in front of it. And between those two mechanisms, that's how you get that sort of latency reduction. So there's that. That's step one. Step two is identifying machines that you have to use, right? So there's high-powered graphics machines that are available at various cloud data centers, and we make use of those for the appropriate processes. We make use of those for the appropriate rendering, and it's a matter of juggling all of those factors together and doing the calculus and figuring out what you have to do on the fly.
Yeah. So you don't have to, like, if someone, obviously there's worldwide regional things that would affect this, right? If I'm in Kenya, for instance, and you're operating in the US, that might cause problems. But generally speaking, if you're in the US, you've squeezed the data down enough, and there's enough bandwidth out there that you can pretty much guarantee that this is going to work. The only limiting factor being what? The bandwidth on the end of the user, right?
Yeah, how fast does the pipe come into your home or office? We can typically deliver high performance if the bandwidth to your nearest endpoint is 30 milliseconds or less, and we can get there. And that most homes actually have that now, so it's not so bad. And then you said something very interesting, like if we've built our system out, and other people have as well, built systems out in a way where it does take advantage of all those co-location facilities. And so in theory, yeah, if you were in Kenya and you were near a data center that was operating on the same cloud platform and somebody else was in Los Angeles, you could work collaboratively and see that kind of response speed.
So you're somewhere between, somebody just putting a server on the internet and Google, which runs its own undersea cables. Like you have to do a little location planning, but you don't have to build your own internet.
No, which is fortunate.
Yeah.
So some companies have actually tried to build their own stuff and failed pretty badly, actually.
It's complex, right? I mean, that is not something that's easy to do. Granted, I feel like one of the things that's making this possible, and you tell me if I'm under a misimpression here, is the fact that we just have more connectivity options, more bandwidth options than we used to.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot more bandwidth options. There's a lot more pipes coming into the house, and that's why credit companies like Netflix, who are the users are demanding that kind of bandwidth. So those pipes are in place through most of the major metropolitan areas in North America. And then the demands on the servers in the cloud platform, whether you're on Amazon or Microsoft Azure or the Google Cloud platform, they're constantly being upgraded. And you're getting faster and faster machines that are sitting behind that pipe.
So you take advantage of that as well.
Yes.
The big guys are doing some of the work.
We do. Yeah, if you request, for instance, in our system, if you request to do a rotation of a model, and that model is very graphic intensive, it's using one of the high-powered graphics machines. If you are simply doing, you don't really need a lot of power for that, so the machine gets stepped down.
Do you worry that net neutrality legislation changing, or net neutrality rules rather, not legislation changing, is going to upset the playing field?
It is a conversation underway. Yeah, we have been not affected by any of that yet, but of course, if people are if there's going to be bandwidth being charged, then there's some effect on that.
Well, I want to get real quickly one last question, because I know it's on everybody's mind. They're like, okay, that sounds great. What can't I do yet? What are we stopped from being able to do with this sort of stuff?
Right now, there are a lot of blockages, I guess you would say, would be machines that would normally be local to your desktop that require specialized hardware. So, if you're talking about a lot of machines that have video shuttles or transport mechanisms, and some of those, some video editors have machines that have pieces of hardware attached to them. And so we're not there yet, but that's not too far in the future. It's not a very distant future either.
Excellent. Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. In fact, our subreddit has 2 snooze that Scotty Rowland made. Snooze are the little alien guy that Reddit has, that may have a beard and blonde hair. So they may look like similar to hosts of podcasts that Go check it out at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com.
I resent that comment, Tom. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even see my blonde hair right now. All right, let's check the mailbag.
Let's do it. This one comes from Rich, different Rich, who says the Nintendo Switch Labo stuff looks really cool. This is in reference to our conversation yesterday. Rich says, I thought I'd recommend something similar for people who can't wait for it to come out or just don't plan on buying a Switch. Pimaroni is a UK-based Raspberry Pi reseller, but what really differentiates them is their creative kits around cheap system-on-a-chips. He links us to where you can find out more information, and then says, generally, these are recommended for ages 8 and up, but have sewable gadget kits, DIY cameras, radios, cars, tons of cardboard. Kit prices range from $25 to $70. I know my local Micro Center stocks them, so you might not have to pay for UK shipping at all. Probably not as well baked as Labo will be, but a cool option nonetheless.
Thank you, Rich Straffolino. That's very cool. And I know there's some Raspberry Pi users.
Rich Straffolino. I wish I knew that.
Yeah, he tried to play it cool, but I knew who it was because I looked at his email address.
It's our Rich.
Yeah. And in our bosses Slack, Kaylee writes, finally got to listen to the show. Labo is indeed Japanese shorthand for laboratory. Japanese speakers tend to shorten words to the first 2 syllables of words, like Family Mart becomes Famima, etc. I'm shocked that they just left it named Labo, even in English, but I'm suppose there's a precedent, Tamagotchi Life, for instance. Then again, Japanese language is cool now, I suppose so. I guess it makes sense that some folks or kids might think it's nifty to have it sound kind of Japanese, or maybe they just wanted a consistent name across the regions.
I mean, the only reason I really asked about what that all meant was, of course, laboratory makes perfect sense, but there's also a perfumer called Labo, at least.
When I tried to pre-order Labo,
so it's like that was the first thing I went to. Like, why are they calling it that?
No, because you mentioned that when I pre-ordered Labo today, I searched for Labo and got a bunch of perfume, and I'm like, well, it's not what I'm looking for, so I had to put in Nintendo.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
All right. Before we go, we have to check in with Len Peralta, who is here illustrating the cloud.
Yes, I am really amazed at what Rob's company is doing with the cloud, and it was really difficult for me to come up with an idea that is that really kind of spoke to that. So I went more evergreen with this because I think there's a lot more people who are going to choose to live their life in the cloud, and so why not create a character who kind of represents that? And that's what I did today. The man who lives his life amongst the cloud, or the person, I should say, who lives his life amongst the cloud, just call him Cloud Guy. And this
guy looks familiar to me.
You've probably seen him before. Yes, I think this is the guy you're going to find in the cloud if you were to go up there.
That guy resembles Earth guys.
I think so. I think
or whoever. Right.
Yeah, it could be anyone. But and just to be clear, he is not dead. He is not. There's a man at the bottom here who looks like his spirit has been lifted. That's not it. He is actually just living ethereally in the cloud, enjoying whatever the cloud has to give to him.
When local man goes to sleep, cloud guy
goes up there.
He never goes to sleep.
It's pretty amazing how that works. So, yeah. So this is available right now in my online store. You can go pick it up. You can actually also do some other great things like go to Patreon and back me there, and you'll get every single one of these drawings I do for Tom's show on Friday. Nice. And yeah, so very, very cool. And there's some also really cool stuff that's there. Up at the online store you may want to check out. So go check it out at lenperaltastore.com.
That's right.
Excellent. Folks. Thanks also to Rob DeMillo, who joined us today, CTO at Nimble Collective. Rob, let folks know where they can learn more about everything that you do.
Oh, you can go right to Nimble Collective. You go to nimblecollective.com. You can read all about us. You can see some of the animations that have been created. If you want to find out about me / Rob DeMillo.
Excellent. Go do it right now. And big thank you to the folks who support us in all the various ways you can. You can find out how to do it at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. But our biggest support comes from our patrons, and we're always trying to get more patrons than last month, and we're doing great so far. So keep it up. Thanks to everybody who has continued their pledges. And we know sometimes people just run into stuff, which means they have to cancel. So the more of you that can jump in and pick those people up, the better at patreon.com/DTNS.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. If you have questions, comments, feedback, anything, let us know. We are listening. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. It's up to you. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
Back on Monday with Veronica Belmont. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Very good. Very good.
I love that 8-bit version.
That was
really cool.
I like the download button on his chest plate.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's his little symbol, his icon.
So my brand new dog has been living with me for a total of 2 hours.
What?
2 hours? I didn't.
What kind of dog? Tell us everything.
Look, there he goes. Oh, he's gone. He's walked up that way.
There he is.
His name is Hobbs.
Hobbs.
And which means the second dog I have is Kelvin. What?
Right, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's a German Shepherd mutt mix, 10 months old.
How 10 months? How much does he weigh? Do you know?
Looks like around, I want to say 50 or 60.
Okay. So yeah.
He'll
probably fill out a little more in the next few months for sure.
Yeah. Well, his personality is going to pop out. And right now he's sort of like shy and walking around like, yawning, that kind of thing. But I think it's enough.
I mean, he'll only be there for 2 hours.
I know, and he's really not.
By tomorrow, he'll be like owning the place.
Yeah.
Oh, bad! What a cutie.
Yeah, let's make sure he doesn't own the place in a doggish kind of fashion.
Yeah, right. It's gonna happen. I just always, reconcile myself to that happening at least once or twice.
I stocked up on Nature's Miracle.
There you go. Yeah, that's the key.
All right, titles. Make It Rain on South Africa. Cloud Guy, 8-bit DTNS. 50 Shades of Green.
Toto reference, guys. Hard to beat.
Making animation more nimble. The cloud becomes the Matrix. Rob be nimble, Rob be quick.
I like that.
The brighter side of the cloud. Blade Shadow.
Brighter side or broader side? Brighter side. Okay, I see.
Brighter. At the bottom. Brighter side of the cloud. Brighter side of the cloud. Blade Shadow, it sounds like magic, but is it?
Is it? Is it really?
Is it? That was very John Cleese, yeah.
Yeah, is it? Oh, it is very John Cleese. I like that.
Rob be nimble, Rob be quick.
No, don't do that. Rob, because then the next line is I jump over a candlestick and
straight into a Yankee candle.
I'm sure we could get an animation of that done, right?
We probably could actually. Yeah. Wear my hat. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, always fun.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
It was great.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was so nice to meet you in Vegas last week.
Yeah, it was nice to see you. It was really fun. And everyone, that was a great, whoever organized that was a lot of fun. Actually.
It was so fun. Yeah.
That was me.
Casual. Thank you, Len.
You're very
That was a group effort.
Were you, Glenn?
No.
Yeah.
No, Glenn just takes credit.
I do.
Yeah.
When no one else is, I take credit.
Right.
So we all have so Shannon and I have a common friend, and so is Tom and Roger, Dale Chase, who is a rap artist aside from being an engineer, and he always raps about tech stuff. And so Shannon apparently did bebop on one of his tracks or something. So one of the people from your group brought the CD for her to sign, and so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was great. Love Dale. Dale does good stuff.
Dale's great. Yeah, he's working at Nimble, actually.
Oh no, that's right. No, I remember you mentioned that when you saw that CD.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, you should have free concerts then. All right, what are we calling this, Roger?
Making animation more nimble.
Oh, that's nice. Pre-PR.
Any objections?
Love it.
Great.
The motion is passed.
Oh, wait, no, motion is passed.
Print it.
Print it. Excellent.
Floor record from Greenville.
Uh-oh.
Glenn there.
By the way, I want everyone on the call to notice my flawless internet this time.
Yes, your internet was smooth as silk.
It was smooth as silk. Eero.
Who do we have to thank for that?
You have Eero to thank for that.
All right. Good job,
you have me moving to Oakland to thank for that, then you got Eero to
right. I feel like you and I have some things in common because I'm on Eero myself, and I used to live in Oakland. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, who's your ISP?
Comcast.
Yeah. Hey, it worked.
That's where the fun stops. But yeah, no, it's like we're getting 225 down, so it's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
It's kind of weird.
Rob, what are the things hanging off the bottom of the photos behind you?
Oh, these are photo rods, museum photo rods. So I can change these out if I want to. So there's like little clamps that hold onto the photos.
Mm-hmm.
I can pull those out and put new ones in.
Oh, weird.
But like, why's the one on the other side so long?
Artistic license. So
okay.
You can't say this one's got 2 photos hanging off of it. And this one's got 1.
Cool. So no, I mean, it looks cool. I just was like, what's the deal?
Nice. Yeah, it's I forgot where I got them. Some yuppified home store, but yeah.
That's very cool.
Thanks.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm gonna have to do a
restart.
restart.
Should make thimbles, nimble thimbles, and give them out like little
dancing, jogging thimbles.
Well, when you expand from animation into seamstresses, and that's the perfect swag.
Seamstresses in the cloud.
Cloud sewing.
Seamstresses in the cloud. Cloud sewing. Yeah, cloud tailoring. Oh my God.
That's the name of my autobiography.
Cloud tailoring?
Tailoring. Yeah.
No. Seamstresses in the clouds.
Seamstresses in the cloud. The Len Peralta story.
The Len Peralta story.
So I downloaded, so there's a firmware patch to my Windows 10 laptop, my work Windows 10 laptop that I downloaded. And I think it was to get rid of Meltdown. Meltdown. It melted down all right. Took my machine out.
Oh, it was one of those. Ouch. Yeah.
Good. So yesterday.
Not good. Yeah, somebody in the chat room while we were chatting during the main show asked how Meltdown or Spectre would impact you. And I know I already asked you this, that the answer is you don't know yet, right?
We don't know. We have no idea. And I am having a little bit of faith that Amazon and Microsoft and the Linux people will take care of that problem for us.
Yeah.
Because it hits the servers before it gets to us. We don't really have a lot of control over it.
And Google seems to feel that they have resolved it to their satisfaction for G Suite. So it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. It is possible. But moral of the story, use LastPass or some password. Don't use Chrome. Don't use your Chrome password manager.
Yeah.
Right. People are spoiled. This is why we can't have nice things.
That's true.
People spoil all the fun.
I did a top 5 for Tech Republic. I just wrote for next month. Top 5 human security risks. Just all the ways that people are your your vulnerability point.
Yeah.
Your family,
I was saying your mother is probably like very high.
spouse, kids.
Car.
But it's not a person.
Hi. I'm calling from.
No, it was more about the things that people do, like, you know, install software that they're not supposed to, share their passwords when they're not supposed to.
It happens a lot, and I'm always sort of shocked. I gotta watch myself because that means I'm next, right?
Yeah, right.
Click that. And I do get dangerously curious. I'll get like those emails and I'll like hover my mouse because I want to find out what the actual URL is, and all I'd have to do is sneeze and click and I'd be screwed. So
you talked about this on Buzz Out Loud, which is how long ago it was, but years ago, got an email right after I had listed something for sale or bid on something for sale, I guess, on eBay, saying you need to confirm your account for your latest bid. And without thinking, I clicked on it and then started to fill in the information and then stopped saying, wait a minute, why didn't I have to log in? And then it hit me. Also, that's not the email address associated to my eBay account. And I stopped, but it was chilling because I'm like, wow, like I know better.
wow.
But because it just happened to accidentally time right. I was like, oh, I just did put that bid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I got a notification from Google saying that okay, your password for rdemillo@gmail.com is being changed. This wasn't you. Click it. And so I like freaked out at that. Turns out it actually was somebody whose initial was R and last name was DeMillo. Like they were confusing accounts.
I have so many of those, and the problem is a lot of these people use this particular email account. I use the same service, and so a lot of people's names, I guess, are Roger. And so when I say Roger, blah, 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 you need to change your blah, blah, account. Like I automatically like reach for it. But the thing is, when I never open a link in an email, I always go straight to the website. So if it's like a Facebook update or thing, I actually just go to Facebook. I don't actually click on the link.
Isn't there a Roger Chang at CNET, or am I imagining that?
Chang,
yes.
Chen.
Chang, Chen.
Yep.
Yes, I've seen him. I've never met him except over email.
You should take
You
him
saw
out,
him from
man.
across the room at CES. I was so wanting to.
Yeah,
like,
we were in the lobby of the TP Robot Hotel.
Yeah.
I don't even know the name of the hotel.
That's pretty funny.
It was. I was so close to greatness. No, I don't know, or maybe he was.
He was
Oh, he was. We all know. We know how that goes.
mutual greatness.
I'm taking this mic off these books because it's gonna be a problem if I don't. Nah.
Oh, something else.
You okay there, Roger?
Yes, I'm trying to get my
Hanging in
back
there.
straight.
It's Friday.
Fun doesn't stop.
2 days and then another week.
Yeah.
2 days, another week.
Repeat until you die.
Well,
Rinse,
my
wash,
kid's
repeat.
birthday is next weekend, so I'm trying to think of all the house cleaning I need to do.
That's very nice.
I hate that. I gotta think like, oh, do I need to buy those shelving units from like Home Depot so I can organize my garage and make more space to put crap in it?
I just did that this weekend. I put up. I'm very proud of myself. I put up pegboards in the garage. Did all that stuff. Very organized and neat and clean now. Looks like I could do surgery in there.
I just have so much stuff.
Yeah, I started using Let's Go actually last week because I'm just trying to get rid of as much stuff as I can.
So Facebook will begin to prioritize trustworthy news outlets on its social media posts. This doesn't seem like breaking news to me because didn't they already say they were kind of going to do this?
They did.
Next week, the newsfeed will prioritize high quality news over less trusted sources.
Well, what do they call high quality news?
Well, I think this probably is coming. I haven't found out that part, but my guess would be it's coming out of the fact checking. So whatever their fact checking system.
You're living in some weird reality right now.
Yeah.
It is just bizarre.
But aren't they also, I mean, in other parts of the world, they're testing not having news show up at all in your personal news feed unless it's shared by your friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's like 5 countries. Yeah, because that's going to keep you in the bubble.
And then movie.
Your own echo chamber is the one that provides all the news feeds for you?
Newsfeed.
Ah, nice.
MoviePass announced it's going to start buying movies. The company will invest in films.
Oh, like production of and all
guess.
that jazz.
So they're going to sell the data and insights they gain from their monthly subscription service to studios who can do more targeted marketing for the films. And they're also going to invest money in the films.
Another version of the echo chamber.
Echo chamber.
That's why
I want them to do slightly less polished versions of already, like you see those of like popular summer blockbusters, like when they release it onto home video, there will be like what's that company called that makes all those schlocky versions? Like, for example, there's Pacific Rim, and when that went to home video, they released one called Atlantic Rim, which is really bad. It's like borderline like embarrassing bad, but they make enough money on it because of customer confusion. Maybe they could do something like that, but maybe higher quality. They could what's the term in Be Kind Rewind? Sweeted version.
I'm shuffling all of my calendar events around to make sure I've got room here.
Asylum Studios. Thank you, Captain Jack 913 in the chat room.
Oh my gosh. The 6 Outlander glasses that I ordered from the same glass maker in Scotland that makes them for the Outlander TV series have finally been made and are ready to ship.
Nice.
Eileen is going to be very happy.
Wait, so these are working corrective lenses?
No, wine glasses.
I thought that's kind of.
I did too, actually. I was
Sorry.
I remember there were glasses.
See, that's because you've not watched Outlander.
No.
They drink a lot of wine on that show.
I watched one episode.
The final episode is where she's in hospital for sclerosis. Oh, you drank too much wine.
I see what you said there.
And now you need glasses. Wait, not that kind of sclerosis. Never mind. All right. That's it for us. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Thanks again, Rob.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
Good to have you.
Come back soon.
I bid you all adieu.
Bye.
Speaking of which, I gotta go take care of the dog.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have fun with the new dog.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, little Hobbs.
Yay.
Oh, Hobbs is good. All right, here we go. Wait, here, one more Hobbs view.
Oh, I love
Aww.
He doesn't even understand like how cute he's being right now, but he's settled. So.
Yay, Hobbs.
All right.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Take care.
Len, good stuff, man.
Thank you so much. Good stuff on your end too.
Thank you, sir.
Any final words to our live streaming audience before I stop the stream?
I thought you were going to stop at like half.
Yep.
I love you all.
That's
I
good.
also love you all. I mean, there are probably a couple of people I don't love, but
Just press the button, Roger.